Hey, what's up guys? This is Luke from Luke is the Black Sheep Photography here in Sacramento, and today I want to talk about this camera. This is the Fuji X-T100, and it was the first Fuji film camera I got. Got a big old lens on there, but that's not the lens I want to talk about. It is the actual camera that I want to talk about, the X-T100. Now, the X-T100 is a gorgeous looking camera. It has that amazing Fuji look, retro style, and I even got the one with the gold, like champagne gold top. I mean, it is just a beautiful piece of work, and whenever I bring this camera out, I have tons and tons of people always asking me, is that a film camera? Is that a retro camera? Where did that camera come from? And I gotta tell them, it's not old, it's relatively new, and it's not film, it's digital. In fact, you can change the lens on it and everything. But sadly, I'm actually pretty disappointed with this camera. I bought this camera because there was a lot of Fuji hype, and this was the first one I bought because it can actually have a screen that tilts frontward, like this, which is great. I love it. I'm going to turn it on now. Let's see if it turns on. There we go. Screen turns on just fine. Great. And you can use it for selfies, which is something I really like to do. There, I took a selfie of myself. But, you know, as I've used this camera more and more, I'm just not a big fan of it. I use it because I have it, but I really wish I had not gotten rid of my other camera, the Sony A5100. That camera, dead simple to use, great touchscreen. I think it's the best touchscreen that Sony has on any of their cameras, the A5100. And it is, I would say it's not as good as this camera in terms of specs, but the way you use it, its speed, its autofocus, its video capability is better than this guy. You know, I was expecting some really great things because I could be like, ooh, I can vlog with this camera. This camera would be a great vlogging camera because of the flip screen. I can just be like, hey, I'm talking to myself. And it does work for that. But what I found is the video quality is not very good. It's not very pleasant to look at. It's really rough looking. Here, let's take a look at some video. This is a video I shot recently, and I bring this camera around to shoot. I mean, it's not like I leave it at home and not use it. I have it, so I use it. And I was at the Sharks game, and this camera in video mode is super difficult to use. It hunts a lot, and a lot of times it's missing its focus. It doesn't have intuitive dials in terms of changing exposure. In fact, I've been digging through menus trying to get the picture to look right and to make it easier to use. It is really difficult to use in video mode. And if you guys successfully use this camera in video mode, where you can quickly change your shutter speed or ISO, please let me know, because this thing just can't do it. At least I don't think it can do it. It is hard to program, and it just doesn't do what I want it to do. I can get it to do what I want it to do, but it's a process and it takes a long time. Next up, the pictures. Picture-wise, it's okay. You can set it, it works pretty well when you set it to aperture priority or shutter priority. Manual, I don't really recommend manual for this. I mean, I set the ISO to this dial here, and then shutter speed, and then of course aperture. But I think this is much better not in manual. I feel like it's really slow if you try to use it manually. The people love the Fuji sort of retro dials, but I don't think it's implemented that well here. It's a little bit hard to use, it's clunky, and I find that if I'm trying to switch settings very quickly, or switch my ISO, or switch my shutter speed, it takes a while, or I miss, or something happens where I just don't get the shot. I just don't get the shot, and it's really inconvenient. So I just haven't liked it at all. It just has not really met my expectations. It looks great. It just doesn't perform that well. And I don't really know why people say this is such a wonderful camera. It's an alright camera, but coming from any other professional camera like the X-T3 and the A9, obviously those cameras blow this one out of the water, and they should. But comparing this to the Sony a5100, I wish I had the a5100 and not this guy, because that thing, hands down, a better camera. I think the only good thing I can say about the X-T100 is that it introduced me to the Fuji system, and I got the X-T3 because I thought it would be great to put some of these really awesome Fuji lenses on it, and so I'm using the X-T3 a lot, but I still bring this camera around because I like to take selfies with it, and there's all sorts of fun things I can do, but like I said, it just doesn't work as good as the Sonys do, and I'm really surprised because I thought Fuji's were supposed to be like the best cameras to use in terms of hand holding and usability, but no, I disagree. I think the Sonys are actually better, and that could be just because I'm used to the Sonys. I don't know. You can tell me in the comments if you disagree, and you totally might, but I do think the Sonys are better, even though now I have a ton of Fuji glass, and I'm not gonna just throw it away because I think the glass is great. I just wish this particular camera was better than what it is, because I don't think it works that well. So in conclusion, I don't think I'd recommend the X-T100 to anybody. I'd say get the Sony a5100. I think it's a lot better camera. It's a lot better of a deal. The only thing bad about the Sony a5100 is Sony doesn't have any great APS-C glass, so you're kind of out of luck there. If you just want style over substance, you know, get this camera. But I would, if you can swing it, I'd get the X-T2 or X-T3 because it's a much better value. But you know, the X-T2 and X-T3 doesn't have this fully, the screen that fully goes to the front. Now, one thing you might not know, and I forgot to mention is that the screen, even though it can go to the front like this, you can't flip it so that it rotates too much from the side. So it's surprisingly limited a little bit. So it's actually not the best articulating screen. The Canon cameras have a much better one, and so do the Panasonic cameras. So overall, a lot of things to be disappointed about the X-T100. I'm sorry, Fuji. You guys could have done better than this. Thankfully, the X-T3 is a great camera. But for any other sort of use, not so good. Well, those were just some thoughts about the X-T100 and my frustrations with it. I would love to hear your opinions about the X-T100 and if you think it's a great camera or not. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.